Welcome everybody back to another BOLDcast reaction. I'm Carson.
I'm Lindsay.
And this is Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Episode 14. Mid-season finale, technically speaking. Halfway through. This is officially the last of the first half. So we'll see what happens this time. We got, what's his name? What is his name?
What
is his name?
I can't remember.
Apparently voiced by Gojo.
I can't remember at all what his name is.
God damn it. We suck. We got MILF Lover 69 over here. Is what we should call him. Sane. But it's weird like Zane or Sane or I felt like there was a Z sound in it somewhere. What about him? He loves MILFs.
Yep.
And now he's traveling with one technically.
But
Does it count? Can an elf
mean?
be a MILF? A
Well,
MILF.
But she looks like a kid, or like at least like young. Like she looks the same age as Fern.
Yes. Yeah.
And finally an anime character who's not just simping over you know, a childlike person.
Yeah, that was something that we talked about a little bit, but I don't think can be understated. Especially, it's funny that that it looks like the fucking guy from Mushoku Tensei too. Like, I cannot understate how good it is that that's not the case, you know? But it doesn't. I mean, Frieren. She acts like an adult.
No, she doesn't super look like a child either. It's just a funny joke.
Well, the thing about like a lot of those that trope of like the lolly 2,000-year-old vampire or whatever is that they act like children, whereas Frieren, I don't think acts. I mean, in some ways she's childish because of, you know, the whole interplay between her and Fern, where like Fern is very mature despite her age, and Frieren is like immature and doesn't understand things that she should understand by her age, etc., etc. They kind of like are in this cycle where each of them is sort of playing a different role to each other all the time. But Frieren acts to me like an adult person. Like, she doesn't act like an actual kid who is she doesn't act like a character who's artificially like perpetually a teenager, like a young teenager, for the sake of like a fetish of the author. Yeah. But it is just funny that
it's just funny that this guy's like, I like older women, and then just likes older looking women, not like 1,000-year-old woman who's like the ultimate older woman, you know? Yeah.
Epic.
Anyway.
Let's see what happens this year on
this year.
Well, it might be a year. It was 28 years, or was it 29? Oh no, it was probably pretty soon after.
I think it's been 29 years for a while.
I saw the year thing in the top while I was talking. Let's see what happens this episode. Leave a like, subscribe. Let's check it out. What's gonna make him like super attracted to Frieren? What if he turns around slowly and it's just he sees her eating her fucking drinking her prune juice in the morning or something like that, and he's just like, what the hell? God damn. Didn't know you were old like that. Clock tower. Clocks. They have clocks?
We don't question what they have.
They have clocks? What else do they have? Do they have steam engines? Is this fucking... she's a steampunk.
We're not going to question it.
Frieren
they probably have toilets.
They became like clockwork. There's gonna be some fucking robots walking around all of a sudden. They have toilets?
No, I'm saying that's what comes next.
Is that what comes after? Shortly after the invention of the clock gave way to the invention of the toilet.
The indoor plumbing in this fantasy.
Again, like, as far as the whole like modern anime fantasy tropes, like, they've kept away from all the sexual shit pretty well, except for that, you know, one shot of Frieren on the bed with her feet. That was weird, but like, other than that, they've been pretty. I've appreciated the restraint, you know, to not go down that road.
Just making a normal show.
Yeah.
You know what? I never even really noticed that, but like, you know how like they like all the characters like go to the side and then Frieren's in the front. In the middle, but it's like in her original group she's like in the back, and then in this group she's in the front, like kind of leading the way for them.
What is Blood babbling about? Oh. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but you're new.
Yeah, but she did get him a birthday present.
Are we gonna have another birthday where she just spies on someone buying her a present?
What is that framing? Can you relax? Fucking Miko Ino over here. She doesn't want a present from just anyone. She wants a present from him.
Mm-hmm.
I love this guy. She saw him get the gift, but he still paid for it to get gift wrap or asked for it.
She's not
so
sorry.
She's not sorry. We never saw him again. Goodbye, Sane. People wave like that goodbye, like forever. It's just like,
buy me something.
it's like the truth is, I know you want to buy me something. No, the truth is I don't want to buy you anything. I fucking hate you.
She's just lurking on the roof.
They're definitely saying Zine.
You're not that old.
I wonder.
You're pretty similar.
Imagine being a drunk when you had to walk everywhere all the time and like you were a traveler. Put down the bottle at some point.
たいところですが、本当は子供の頃とほとんど変わっていません。理想の大人を目指して恐れを積み重ねてきただけです。きっと私は死ぬまで大人のふりを続けるでしょう。心の支えになる大人の存在が必要ですから。僕は努力家です。たくさん褒めて導いてあげないと。
まで大人のふりを続けるハイターは誰が褒めてくれるの？
女神様がいるんですよ。天国に行くまではお預けで。
私が褒めるよ。
そうですか。
Once again, a connection between Frieren and the goddess.
人間である私の気持ちはわからないです。どう褒めるつもりですか
Breaks his neck because he's old.
悪くはないですね。フリーレン、私が天国に話を通しておきます。あなたはやはり女神様に褒めてもらうべき。
楽しみにしておくよ。
I'm praising you.
Gives him a fucking bird's
She's
nest.
she's not even like petting him. She's just like,
I would have loved to have an older woman do this.
look at how nice that is.
Few women are older than me. Few women. Does she know any women older than her?
It was really cute.
前にヒンメルにもらったんだ。多分フェルンとお揃いだよ。そうなんですか？どこにあったかな。
How did I know something like this was gonna happen? How did I know exactly that was going to happen?
Oh.
Oh no, the horse! You kill the bird. If we could make carriages fly, there'd be flying carriages. We would need the fucking horses, Stark. That guy is just pissed off because now his fucking carriage and his horse are gonna be destroyed. All of his money gone.
Stark's just like, how about
What do
me?
I do? You attack the ground, I guess?
Just break your fall with your axe, you know? Yeah, I don't think that that's normal for any warrior.
The horse.
Oh, great. Well.
Oh, the horse is okay.
The horse
my
is
God.
flying. Sure.
I'm just glad the horse is alive. Oh,
Me too.
Horse is injured.
Yeah, but it's okay.
You're gonna have to make a new wheel? Do they have a spare? They can maybe
They're
mend
fine.
it?
What about your ring?
Yeah, you lost the ring. That's what you get for being disorganized, lady.
レットって
It looks like it's really loosely on your wrist, honestly.
Well, that's what his was too.
結局シャンプが選んだのか。
私が好きに選んで
Oh, he chose it.
なるほどね。
He chose it for her?
Yeah, so she spent 3 hours picking it out, and then
He
and
got
then
tired.
and then he picked.
That's such a classic.
伺いながらの3時間。
Oh, never mind. That's not.
かわいそうにな。
全部聞こえ
でも気に入ってもらえたからよかったよ。
しかし、やるじゃねえかしたのか。あの衣装は鏡レンゲ。あの言葉はクオンジョだ。この地方じゃあるのだぜ。
知らなかったんだ。だよ、俺が花言葉なんて知ってた。
そうですよねバカです
いつになって自分だって知らなかったくせに。
何か言いましたか
なんでもないです。買い直しましょうか。
これはシュタルク様が一生懸命に選べたものですそんなこと言わないで
ごめんよ。
It's so sad because the ring that Frieren had was the same, but she probably didn't know either.
She gets stuck. Oh. She was just that incompetent. No! I like an anime whenever they kill a boar, it's just they get a bump on their head when they show it.
And the stew looks really good, but I'm sad for that boar.
Like as in Hunter x Hunter and Log Horizon I'm thinking of. This is nice. It's kind of spooky being out in the woods, but...
Nice.
He's an accessory guy. Maybe they'll get Frieren a replacement ring when they get to
But,
town.
oh, she's looking for it.
明日の早朝には出発するそうですそう
Too bad you don't have a locate object.
何を探しているんですかヒンメルからもらった指輪
What if Fern had it the whole time?
手伝います
I don't know.
出発を待ってもらいましょう
You probably won't find it.
今夜見つからなかったなくし物には慣れているヒンメルからもらったものはあれだけじゃないしねな言葉はクオンの愛情だそうですそう知らなかったでもいいヒンメルもそんな花言葉知らなかったと思うでも
I bet he did.
きっと大事な
Sounds like he did.
一緒に探しましょう
言ってくださればよかったのに。私の村でも品をなくされる方は。
Oh, we have a spell?
なくした品を探す魔法。今回のお渡しするつもりだった。
Hell yeah. Is she gonna be dumb and just not use it for the fucking... Oh, sometimes you just need to let
No,
stuff
she's
go or
using
some
it.
stupid shit. Okay, thank God. Ooh.
フリーレン。今回の討伐依頼で頑張って好きなものを選んでくれ。
魔法店の方が嬉しいじゃあこれでいいよ
早いの。初めに選びなさい。
Just kidding, this one's perfect.
He did know. She would not have found it.
フリーレン。
ありがとう
That's why the clock tower was so significant to her. She forgot. The bell was going off when they were right by the clock tower when it happened. God damn, I didn't know I was married.
No, she's just perpetually engaged. Now put it on and don't lose it.
The 90-year engagement.
The eternal engagement.
I mean, he died.
Oh.
シュタルク様がいるからです
What about start being it? Sorry.
She said, "Why are you wearing an inverted Lotus bracelet?" And then she's like, "Cause Stark's an idiot."
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like,
Himmel, it was a big gesture of love. But for fucking Stark, he had just thought it was such a dumb thing. He's just like, oh, girls like flowers, right? This looks like a flower butterfly thing. Oh my god, that's funny. Why wasn't this the opening?
I like it as the ending.
Oh, it's just, to me, this song like characterizes
Yeah.
the show a lot more, you know?
俺にも戦闘用の魔法はある。
いよいよまずい。
Wait.
良さそうだな。
Oh
やっぱり
shit.
音の匂いがするし
Oh shit.
次の村に
Oh shit.
Smells like
You're
trouble.
gonna have to do with fucking Stark's thing, maybe? He's like, doesn't have his brother's talent. We might have more flashbacks, or we might, or I don't know, something. Something. It's like battle magic, and it's like, oh, it smells like trouble, and then they're talking about. Doesn't have his brother's talent. It's starting to look back. Yes, father. In case it looks like we should hurry.
Interesting.
I love this show so goddamn
It's
much.
so good.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's not the top of Mal good yet. You know, maybe we'll need to complete the story before it, you know, tops out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but... did you hear about all that?
What? No.
Oh, it's, people are review bombing this show to be, like, the best show ever. It's now, like, the biggest show on Mal.
Oh.
Like, the most, the highest rated.
I don't know if that's review bombing, because I think bombing is like when you rate other things low.
I understand what it means. I just didn't have another word for the opposite thing, so I said that instead. But yeah, so I will need to see like more of a complete story.
I want to see the end because, you know, not gonna lie, the show could, like, I don't want this show to turn into Ranking of Kings, where it's like in the first half it's like my favorite show ever, and then in the second half it just like loses it. I don't think that will happen with this show.
The problem with Ranking of Kings is that happened in the first 2 episodes, not in the first half of the show. Like, there was, the first 2 episodes were really good, and then it was a little steady decline for a few episodes, and then it dropped off a cliff, like, around the second half. And this, I don't think it will, because, like, it's so much of what I like about the show is how intentional it is. With Ranking of Kings, part of its charm was that it was similarly taking, like, you know, it similarly was operating on, like, you know, let's take a step back, let's operating on, like, let's use, like, a familiar sort of area of fantasy that people are familiar with, and but go back to, like, the roots of it. And Ranking of Kings' approach to, like, sort of interacting with that sort of material was by, like, in a way, by the seat of their pants, like, authentic from the heart storytelling. And the problem with that is there can be, when everything's not intentional, like, you're kind of rolling the dice when you write a story like that. When you write it from convention, when you write it for convention, when you take, like, when you're operating in this space that is so saturated, and you're trying to, like, invoke nostalgia, or you're trying to sort of use the roots of the genre to your advantage to, like, I don't know, get to kind of the heart of what the whole genre means to you. Like with fantasy, if you're using, like, very common, more like Tolkien-esque or like D&D, you know, older fantasy tropes, more not modern Japanese fantasy tropes like a magical school or whatever, but like shit like this, you know, if you're not doing it intentionally, you're rolling the dice, and it could end up really bad because you're not making, like, concrete choices with everything that's happening. You're kind of, like, writing from the heart, and that leaves you, you're kind of, yeah, you're rolling the dice. It's a chance because it could fail. But when you're doing things intentionally, like Frieren's doing, it's like, you know, there's still the chance that the author could just make a wrong choice, but the fact that it's choices every time, and you can see,
so good.
Yeah, well, you can just see that there's so much care put into everything, and there's still that heart there, but it's like everything is considered properly and has connections and has sort of something to say that's not, like, metaphorical based on the conventions, based on, you know, everything that came before it, and comparatively to other fantasy things necessarily. There is that there because it's using sort of fantasy tropes as a baseline, but, like, what's charming about it is that there's stuff like with with the ring here, and I don't know, just there's just so many little things that are clearly not just like, oh, you know, the it's not all archetypal. It's like Frieren's being a character that's being created, and all these other characters are characters that are being created, and the relationships are like considered on a scene to scene basis and on a grander story basis. And I don't know, it's hard. I guess it takes a lot more time to describe all these ideas, because there's a lot of shit that I'm just kind of glossing over, so I can't quite get to what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying is, this is intentional. You can feel that that everything is a choice. You can feel that it's not just operating off of convention on the baseline. It's doing something with it, and I love it, and it's good.
Yeah.
And it makes the characters feel like characters. It makes them feel like they're not just archetypes. They're not just like copy pasted from any other story, and you put a different design on them, add a different voice actor, and then have them do basically the same shit. Like Zane here is different. Like, he's different than I expected. He's he acts differently than I expected. Fern acts differently than I expected. Stark is an idiot, but still, his relationship with Fern is different than I expected. Their relationship, I like how it's evolving, and I like how the show is approaching them like fighting, and their like little teen romance just feels very real,
just very wholesome, and yeah, it's
cute.
I really like
it's not overly dramatic, which I like.
It's not overly dramatic, but it's still dramatic enough. Like how Fern was getting all mad, and then he takes like 3 hours to pick out something for her, and then he accidentally picks out something that like symbolizes eternal love. Yeah. But she really loves it anyway. So it's I like it a lot, and it's cute, and I like that. You know, like this whole scene where they were picking out like a little bag for Fern, and she's like. She goes to him for advice instead of Frieren. And then he goes and is like, Frieren, she came to me for advice instead. And then Frieren's like, just spying on them from up on the roof.
Yeah. He's kind of letting it happen. They really, this episode, they did a few things to like, once again, connect Stark to Himmel. Like, he's all looking up the statue, and also with the Lotus bracelet ring combo in the town where it happened, you know? Like, they're kind of laying the... Like, because was it last episode or the one before? I forget, but with the sword. And how he was kind of eyeing up the sword. And how Stark's whole thing from his village, they're all swordsmen. They all use swords, but he uses an axe because he was trained by Eisen. And... Himmel was all... One interesting interaction with the ring was that Himmel was very... he, like, wasn't the true hero as far as being judged by the prophecy of the sword, so he wasn't able to pull the sword, but he was like, I'll be a hero anyway, and it worked with Stark, and then he like, essentially proposes to Frieren. I guess she was just... She had no idea what was going on. She was a little too autistic to fucking figure out that this guy like was basically proposing to her.
And then she's like, "Cool, I'll see you in 50 years when you're on death's door."
Yeah. Oh my god. So she didn't quite pick up on that, but yeah. And anyway, so like Himmel sort of intentionally with knowing the meaning of the ring, got on his knee. At noon, at the crack of noon, and when the sun was at its highest, and gave her this ring. At least I think it was. Maybe it was like kind of sunset, but the clock was going off. Gave her this ring that meant this thing, and then we see, and then it's they make a joke of it at the end of like, oh well, Stark was just an idiot. He didn't even know what it was, but it kind of goes again. He's like sort of an equal opposite version of Himmel, where Himmel's all blue and he's all red. And and you know, maybe that's further sort of foreshadowing, having to do with like a greater plot thing, with the demons or whatever is going to come with that. Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is that I like it because it's interesting because Frieren also was the one who chose the ring randomly, but she hardly even looked at it. She's like, this one. And then he's like, no, you need to think about it more than that.
Yeah.
But it just so happened that it worked out. And then now, in retrospect, when Frieren is thinking about it, she realizes that she did love him, but she just didn't like think about it at the time or like realize it. So it's interesting. And then here too, and then it kind of shows, you know, with Fern and Stark, like how is their relationship going to be different? Of like neither of them knew about this. Like it was the thing where Frieren picked it out, but had no idea what it was, and it was kind of a thing for their whole relationship, anyways. And then Himmel fully knew what it was, and like did like a grand gesture towards her, but she still just didn't pick up on it. And then it's like these two are just like young and like both don't know about any of it, but are like still moving in that same direction, but like on the same page.
Well, it's funny because it's really funny because like how Frieren's group all went, they were like the storybook heroes who went and, you know, they have the mage and the priest and the fighter and the hero, and they all go together and they go on this great journey to defeat the Demon King and save the world. They save the kingdom and they save, you know, the land and stuff, and now the story's over and everything's kind of done. And then we keep looking back on that, and it is like that, like the way that Frieren remembers it and experiences it. It's like all those experiences were very like storybook. They were very like, I don't even know what's the idyllic. And then we see sort of a mirror of it in the present now, and it's much more realistic and clumsy and not as intentional and not as, you know, not as romantic and at the perfect time, the perfect gesture. And you know, it's complicated, and they don't know what to do because they're just kids. And are they holding hands there? No. And they just, you know, they like each other, but it's not this like crazy deep rom-com, end of a rom-com movie love that Himmel, like this super romantic feeling, this Howl's Moving Castle-esque shit that's like this perfect romance that Himmel and Frieren had, where it was like wholesome but deep enough to be like super like marital, and it could, like in another story it could have been sexual, but it's too pure and like beautiful and everything to be tarnished with that. It's just this series of really beautiful, pure, wholesome moments.
But at the same time, in that like super like, you know, he does this romantic gesture of essentially proposing to her, but she just literally doesn't know, and then he dies. Yeah. Is the story. But with Fern and Stark, they're both human, so they're both going to live approximately the same amount of time, and they're both going to...
If they don't die on this fucking journey.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully they're going to mature at similar rates as well, whereas Frieren was like a million years behind Himmel, even though she was a lot older than him. So it's this thing of like, you know, their relationship like has a chance to kind of be what what Frieren couldn't have had with Himmel, just based on time, essentially. Doesn't mean that their relationship wasn't like beautiful and good for what it was, but it's just, you know, a different thing. And what I also like when you were talking about how Himmel and Stark are really similar, it's like Stark is a combination of Eisen and Himmel, and then Fern is a combination of Frieren and Haikyuu as well. So they're like, the two of them are like the complete party, but just themselves, you know?
Yeah. And then speaking of parallels, there was again in the flashback with Haikyuu, there was another comparison with Frieren and the goddess, where Haikyuu was like, she was like, well, who's gonna congratulate you for all the work you do? And he's like, the goddess will, of course. That's the point, and that's the kind of the point of religion in a lot of ways. It's like you suffer your whole life knowing that there's gonna be this divine reward, and then she's just like, well, what about here? It's like, and then she pats him on the head, giving him the sort of adoration and the sort of good going kid that he just kind of needs, just a small gesture, but it's not the first sort of connection that's been made visually or in dialogue to Frieren being likened to the goddess.
Well, I think it also kind of goes, it's weird because I was just thinking of like the song, like, ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on it. Cut that out, please. I was thinking of that. I was thinking about that because I was just thinking it's like Frieren. You know, when they have these interactions where it's like, who's gonna praise you? It's like, oh well, when I'm dead, I'll get praised. But because Frieren, like isn't anticipating her impending death anytime soon, then she's a lot more concerned with like, well, why should you wait till you're in heaven for like it to be good?
Yeah.
Like why like, you know, shouldn't that just be a thing in daily life? Shouldn't everyone be, you know, praising and acknowledging each other all the time?
Yeah.
Just while you're alive. But then it's weird because then heaven is a place on earth in this, like they're like walking to it, you know?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting, it just like tying it all into that is just kind of an interesting thing.
I feel like we've made this prediction before, but I feel like it makes more sense now that we know, now that we're seeing sort of the comparisons with Frieren and the goddess, and that's becoming more of a motif being brought up, the whole religion thing in that aspect. I wonder if Frieren like is going to be left behind in heaven, like she's going to get reunited with Himmel, and they're building up all this stuff about her and her friends and not being able to experience that in life, and then now she's going to go on and maybe like mantle the position of the goddess because of this journey she went on. Like she went on this journey, this sort of this lesson learning thing where she retraced her steps. She's learning about people, she's learning about what it means to be mortal and all this stuff. And then with that knowledge, when she arrives at heaven, she'll get reunited with Himmel and they'll live happily ever after in heaven, and she'll like kind of rule over everything and take over that position. If heaven's even a real thing, it might not even be a real thing. Yeah. It might just be some weird. Yeah, I want that would be pretty interesting because it would fit with the whole Tolkien thing of the Undying Lands.
Yeah, it would also
with the elves and going off to heaven when at the end of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it would also fit with Frieren, like kind of raising children right now.
Exactly.
And then it's like she's maturing by like watching the children mature, but she's still not it's like what Haikyuu was saying in this episode where he's like, oh, she's like, oh well, you like seem like an adult, and he's like, well, I got older, like I look older, but I'm still mostly the same. I just pretend to like be more mature.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that will be this journey for her, and that's kind of the point of having another set of human companions, and like a set of human companions that are clearly like young lovebirds who are probably going to end up together again if they don't die, and there's not some crazy subversion like that where they just like set up this, what we're thinking, they set up like this very fairy tale shit that's going to be happening, and then the demons come back and they go to a war on the way or some shit, and then one of them fucking dies. But then maybe they'll get reunited in heaven. I don't know.
Everyone dies. Everyone goes to heaven. This is...
Why would you spoil? Now I'm going to have to cut that out. Why would you spoil?
People don't know what happens in...
No! Nobody knows what happens in...
Fine.
God damn it. I'll cut that out. I'm going to cut out what Lindsay just said and put it at the very end. There will be a black screen, and then it'll go to that. So if you stay until the very end, go to the end of the video, and you'll see what she said. It's not that big of a deal, but I don't think most people will care, but it's the kind of thing that I think a lot of people maybe...
If they ever read that one time.
Or maybe they know about... They don't know, but I knew growing up. I think a lot of people do, but they don't know, and they don't know about all that shit. Maybe one day they will. It's just the kind of thing I don't want to spoil because it was so goddamn good.
Fair.
What else?
Just a good
Glad
episode.
that horse is okay.
They have matching bracelets now.
Yeah, I thought that they were gonna have to let go of the ring, and then the guy who is an accessory salesman was gonna sell them. Was gonna sell her like a ring.
I like that she was able to go back and get her ring. I was really worried that it was just gonna be like, nope, it's gone forever.
Yeah. It's just so funny to me that she just has no idea what's going on right now. Like, it's this super beautiful, like, actual fairy tale moment where this, like, super handsome hero man with a flowing white
they
cloak.
just saved the world together.
Oh no, it's not noon. But
No.
yeah, did they save the world? It was on the way
Yeah,
back.
he's like, as a reward for helping us to defeat the Demon King.
Yeah, and they're about to this is the storybook ending where now they live happily ever after. And like it's now they move in together and they just like they're together for the rest of their days, and she finds a spell that like extends his life, or she dies alongside with him, knowing like giving up eternal life in this marriage pact so that they could just be together forever for all time.
But then it's just like,
And then she's just like, why is he being so cringe right now?
No, instead she's just like, I'm gonna go off and look for more spells.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, you just basically got
So
proposed to
bad.
by this beautiful man with a beauty mark under his eye. Yeah. Jesus Christ, Frieren. You fumbled the bag.
yeah.
You fumbled so hard.
You know how many people were like thirsting over this guy? You know how many people were simping over him?
She knows
He had-
exactly how
he
many
had
people there were.
statues in every town. People are probably still simping over
30
him.
years later, people are
30
simping
years
over him.
after his death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cringe, Frieren. You fucked up. You fumbled so hard. But then again, she wasn't there to see him go bald, so...
But she did see him while he was bald and like a
Yeah.
foot tall.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a cute old man. I loved when we saw him he like went to visit that one village like earlier in the show, and with the barrier, with putting up the barrier, keeping up the barrier, or whatever it was, and then he was like having coffee with the fucking person, or having tea with the other old people. He was just like, you just was such a cute old man. It was just so funny. Anyway. But yeah, Frieren, you fucked up here, man. Sorry to say. Anyway, we'll see you next week there, Frieren. Don't fuck up too bad till we get back. Leave a like and subscribe. See you in the next one. I'm Carson.
Lindsay.
Bye-bye.